I'm back. So right now, I just got out of work and I'm headed to the taxidermist. I'm headed over to Mountain Rest Taxidermy to go see Joe Millham. He's the best, by the way. We're gonna go see him and we're gonna discuss what kind of mount I want for the coyote that I shot a while back. He's been busy and I've been busy and we haven't really got a chance to get together. All right, we're here. What's going on?
Not too much.
Sorry, I'm a little bit late, but...
It's okay.
Joe, how many years have you been doing taxidermy for?
38.
38.
Yep.
Now, I was telling everybody that you moved to Kentucky. When I was a kid, I heard about Mountain Rest Taxidermy, and then what happened was Joe
In half a
Millham
mile, keep left onto Bruin Turnpike.
moved to Kentucky.
That's right.
And you lived there for...
6 years.
And then you were still doing mounts down there with people that brought them from up here.
Yes, I had a drop station here in New York and people could drop off their mount. And then my wife and I would either drive up, pick everything up, mount it, and then we'd personally bring it back to New York. So it was never shipped, UPS, FedEx, so it always was well taken care of.
Look at these things. These are like beautiful. And one of these is yours, right? Or a couple of these are yours, Joe?
All these on this wall here, with the exception of this one and this one, these are from Canada, and the rest of them are all Kentucky gear. Won state, regional, national, world.
Hear that, guys?
Served as a judge, served as a seminar instructor, was on the board of directors for New York State Taxidermy and Empire State Taxidermy.
Wow. So you definitely know a little bit about taxidermy.
My customers tell me I do.
What makes you stand out from others?
Commitment. I try to explain to people who want to go into taxidermy business, it's not like in the auto body business, if your buddy calls you and say, hey, let's go hunting, you just leave the car in the fender and you go. The car in the fender is the same later in the day, a week later, a month later. But if you take out a customer's piece and now you decide to go have fun for the afternoon, it's perishable. It may not be any good when you come back. You know, you can go to the parts store and buy a new fender. It doesn't matter. It's the same, you know, but yeah, I can get a replacement skin, but it's not your skin. It's not your bear. It's not your whatever it is. So, you know, a lot of people get into business because they enjoy hunting and then they realize they don't have time to go hunting anymore. If you're going to be responsible, if you're going to be committed, and it's a huge commitment. Really, it's a huge commitment to any business you're in, to your customer. And I always felt that my customer came first. And I guess, you know, people say, what do you specialize in? Quality. It is. I mean, some people like to look at it as art. Some people like to look at it as a craftsman. It's really kind of the two married together.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, the other thing, you know, I got into the freeze-dry taxidermy business many, many years ago, and, you know, it's kind of like comparing, you know, a cordless screwdriver today. A cordless screwdriver doesn't make you a better mechanic. A freeze-dry taxidermist isn't the cure-all.
Right.
You still have to be a good mechanic to figure out how it works. And, you know, that's the difference. A lot of people always say, oh, I can give you as good a job as Joe. And, you know, they might go because they were $25 cheaper. And then 6 months later or a year later, they'd show up, can you fix this? Or, you know, their tail was between their legs because they, you know, were conned into believing that, you know, someone else could match what I'm doing. I just was very, very adamant and very strict on myself to make sure that, you know, it's your trophy. I'm here to put smiles on people's faces, not
Right.
make people angry. And, you know, the sooner you get something back, the happier the customer's gonna be, but
Right.
it still has to be done properly. And, you know, not everything, but most everything was done in-house. Tanning, you know, painting. So it wasn't, you know, when you came to me, if you were happy, you told me. If you were not happy, I'm still the same person. You know, it's not like you come into, you know, a shop where, you know, this guy's doing deer heads and maybe there's 2 or 3 guys doing deer heads, and you come in and you look at what you see on the wall and you like it, but that's not necessarily the guy who's mounting your deer today. From 37, 38 years ago, I'm still the same guy, you know, mounting your deer head, painting your deer head, skinning it out. You know, I'm the one that does it from start to finish. Taxidermy is art, but taxidermy is recreating Mother Nature, not creating what you think it should look like. That's a big difference. You know, a lot of people want it, well, I'm an artist. Well, yes, but you're not doing an artist painting. You're doing a recreation of Mother Nature. I can show you mannequins that were made 20, 30 years ago that are every bit as good as a mannequin being made today. That sculptor was way ahead of his time. Deer hasn't changed in 100 years. It's still the same white-tailed deer. You know, it still looks exactly the same. You know, yes, and over time, we've gotten a lot better putting more detail and actually studying the species closer. So yes, you know, there are a lot of new mannequins that are way better than what was years ago, but that doesn't necessarily mean that everyone's mannequin wasn't a good mannequin. I am self-taught. Kind of a funny story. My dad wasn't in the taxidermy business, but he had a friend that wanted to do a little taxidermy, and I had borrowed his books. And when I first tried, I was probably just too young and just didn't really comprehend and understand, but
Right.
I never lost that passion. And when I got into business, it still was the dark years where no taxidermist wanted to talk to you, wouldn't share any ideas. The first taxidermist I went to visit, I told him what I was up to, and he literally grabbed me by the neck and escorted me out the door and told me not to come back because I could be a threat to him.
Sheesh.
And the second taxidermist I went to a year later, I said, well, I'm not going to be quite as honest. I'm not going to tell him what I'm doing. But when you ask a technical question, he said to me, sounds like you're doing taxidermy. And that was the end of our conversation then, too.
Times are different back then.
Times are different. And I said, when I got into business, if I could help someone, I would help them. And I have helped a lot of taxidermists become very good taxidermists.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. So let's look and see what it is that we're going to do with my coyote.
All right, so I got out a catalog here, and we have a few different poses here. And here, which is kind of neat, they've created...
All right, so Joe, we just picked out my mount, and I guess our next question is, what are some tips that you can give hunters who shoot their animal, what not to do, what should we do to preserve it to make your life easier?
Well, the first thing is you always want to try to keep it as clean as possible. I mean, blood draws bacteria.
Right.
The sooner you can get it to the taxidermist, the better. If you're planning on a hunt, you should always call ahead and discuss with the taxidermist that you want to use, you know, how they would like it skinned out, prepared. You know, when something lays around, like people think that I'm going to leave my deer hanging in a tree for a few days, and I tell them, well, you know, the temperatures are going to be warm, or the temperatures are going to be really cold. You know, that freezing and thawing is not a specimen, and you know, if you want a quality mount, you've got to start off with a quality skin.
Right.
So, you know,
I made the mistake where I put something in a paper bag.
paper draws moisture, so you always want to put it in a plastic bag.
Okay.
you know, say a duck or a pheasant, really any bird, if you want to tuck the head under the wing just to take up a little less space. Some people will say, you know, stick a bird in a pair of pantyhose. It'll keep the feathers, you know, in shape. That's fine. Things that you definitely want to keep clean is antelope and sheep. Right. They both have hollow hair. So what happens on antelope or a mountain goat or sheep, the hair or the blood gets drawn inside the stem of the hair.
Okay.
And it's very hard to get that blood out. So on a sheep, you actually would have to bleach it, which is very harsh on the skin. And a lot of times you'll see a customer bring in an old doll sheep mount and say, you know, the hair is all brittle. But what happened is it was cleaned and it was bleached, but it was never neutralized.
Okay.
So the acid never stopped working on it, and the acid just kept making the hair brittler and brittler.
Gotcha.
So same with most tanning on a deer skin, you go into like an acid type pickle to prep the skin before the tanning oil. Well, once that is done, it has to go into a neutralizing solution to neutralize the acid so it doesn't deteriorate the skin, and also allows you to bring the skin back to its normal size. Not really a big fish taxidermist.
Okay.
You know, I've always offered a fish service to my customers, but for a lot of years, I actually picked out a phenomenal fish taxidermist, and I would have him do the fish, birds, small game, large animals, medium mammals, that I all did. I do cold water fish, but I don't really do much in salt water or, I say cold water, warm water, bass.
Right.
You know, crappie, sunfish.
If you guys are interested, Joe can be found on Facebook, right? Mountain Rest Taxidermy.
Yep.
I'm going to post his information at the end of the video so that we can check that out. And is there anything I'm forgetting here? I don't think so.
No, you know, I'm always welcome to talk to, you know, someone who enjoys hunting and fishing, and, you know, questions, planning a hunt.
But don't ask him how to do taxidermy, folks, because then he's going to grab you and throw you out the door.
Nah.
All right, guys. We're going to square things away here, and we'll check back in with you.